caught me mid-mouthful. Let's start cooking. So today we are making a blood orange bread and butter pudding. It came to us from Hilary Dickman. Hilary, I think, is online today. I saw her a minute ago. Hilary did live in Adelaide when we wrote the book. I don't know, Hilary, if you still do. A lot of people who live in Adelaide end up moving to Melbourne or Sydney, it seems, because their kids grow up and move. Same with Perth people, especially in the Jewish community. They seem to, the communities are tiny and they want to get to the big cities. Not always sure why, but they do. And so I wonder, Hilary, if you're still in Adelaide. So Hilary was in Adelaide, and I met Hilary when I went and did the first book tour. I went by myself to Adelaide. Must have been in 2011-ish, or 2012 maybe. And the Adelaide community, and I've said this before, just welcomed me with open arms, and it was absolutely amazing, and gave me some beautiful recipes, of which this is one. So this came to us as an orange bread and butter pudding. Hilary, I know. Oh, hey, Hilary, still in Adelaide. Well, I'm glad you're still there. Adelaide's a beautiful town. See? How bad that I said town. It's a bloody city. It's a beautiful city. And I'm happy you're still there. And we were going to come with a tour for this book, but of course COVID happened and we never did. But one day we're coming. It's in, not that book, it's in this book, The Feast Goes On, orange bread and butter pudding. So Hilary makes it with blood orange marmalade. You all know I'm obsessed with blood oranges at the moment. So I thought, well, why not make it with blood oranges as well as blood orange marmalade if you have, or just with marmalade. So I'm doing blood oranges and marmalade, but let's go through what we're going to need. Firstly, oven on, 180 degrees Celsius. That's a conventional temperature. If you're going to use the fan, your fan oven, you'll need to turn it down a bit to 165, but it's a normal oven. It's the oven that I use to bake most things, okay? Bake cakes, 180. You're going to need a baking dish, and for this recipe, which I've halved from the one in the book because it's very big, this is a 5-cup dish, and you need a 4 to 5 cup dish will be perfect for this. And this feeds 4 to 6 people quite generously, I think. 4 generously, 6 not so generously. Okay, that's what you're going to need. You're going to need a microplane because we're going to zest the oranges. You're going to need a sharp knife and a chopping board because we're going to slice the oranges, and a bowl, okay, and a jug, which I did not get. Jug and a whisk. I just remembered that I didn't have myself organised well enough today. Hold on a sec. Alright, and a whisk. Let's talk the ingredients. Okay, we're going to need as follows. 200 grams, and that's with the crust off already. It's about 300 with the crust on, of stale challah. So every time I make challah on a Friday or buy challah, and we don't eat it all, by Sunday I take the crust off, slice it up and put it in the freezer and write what it is, and then I've got it. This is from the freezer, and it's stale challah. I need 200 grams of that. I need 75 grams of butter, unsalted butter, which I'm going to melt. I need 2 small blood oranges, or one large regular orange, or 2 small regular oranges, or 1 small regular orange and 1 small blood orange. You get the gist. Okay, we need 1/4 cup of marmalade, either regular or blood orange marmalade. 2 eggs. If you have giant eggs, maybe 1's enough. Mine are large eggs and I'm using 2, and 1/4 cup of brown sugar. If you don't have brown sugar, you can use white sugar. And then for the top, which gives it a beautiful, crusty, textural top of sugar, I've got some Demerara sugar, about 1.5 tablespoons. And 1 cup of cream. I'm just using regular pouring cream this time. They're the ingredients, and now we're going to start. I didn't say you'll also need something to melt the butter and the marmalade in, and I'm just going to do it in a saucepan. Now, Hilary, your original recipe called for the butter melted and the marmalade melted separately. I'm going to melt them together just because I like shortcuts, and I don't know if you think that's a bad idea. I did it last night with the one I made, and it actually worked out quite well. Okay, so let's see. You need a big mixing bowl. Let's start with this. Let's get our bread the right size. I need this bowl because I'm going to toss everything in together before I put it in the dish, okay? So I always like to do that. Like when I make a salad, I like to do it in a big bowl. It's just easier to mix it well, okay? So I'm just going to chop up the bread into, you can leave them like that if you want, and then you get that sort of undulating mountainous top on your pudding. But I'm going to do mine in pieces because it's a small bowl, and that's the one I did last night, which I'm going to show you. So I want that to look the same, okay? So I'm just cutting it up into, big chunks, bite-size-ish, a bit bigger than bite-sized pieces. Thank you, Hillary. I'm glad you think it's a good idea. I just thought it was why not, right? Such a great recipe that you've given us, though. Such a great recipe. So cutting it up, my challah is stale and it doesn't matter. I wonder if the staler the better because it soaks up more of the cream mixture and the egg mixture. I also find with the bread and butter pudding, you can make it ahead and let it sit in the fridge and let all that cream and egg mixture soak into the bread even more, and that doesn't hurt. It may even help. I baked mine last night straight away, and it was beautiful. I'll show you. Okay. But what I'm saying is that if you don't want to cook it straight away, I don't think you have to. You can just put it in the fridge. Okay, so cut up your bread into your nice little pieces. That is really stale. Okay, and that's all that. I'm going to get rid of my crumbs because I'm going to need my board in a minute. So put your bread into that bowl like that. Now, into it, my saucepan, or you can do it in the microwave if you like. I'm putting my butter and my marmalade. And I'm making a little buttery marmalade combination that's going to be melted together. And we're going to pour that over the bread and mix it together, okay? So I've got marmalade and butter in a saucepan. I'm going to turn it on just to melt it, okay? I'm not cooking it, I'm not reducing it, I'm just melting the butter and mixing it so it'll all melt together so that I can pour it on top of this and toss it through. There was one more thing that I meant to get, which was my trusty chucks. Hold on a minute, because I'm going to need it in a sec. And all of you people who I know have been so kind with trying to find me blue. I think I'm a purple person now. I think I've evolved. I've evolved from blue chucks to purple chucks. So this is my chucks ready in a minute, which I'll need. Okay, so that's going to melt. While that's melting, let's talk about the oranges. So I've washed the one I'm going to zest very well because if they wax it or whatever, I want that off. So I've scrubbed that very well, and I'm going to get a zester or a microplane. And remember that it's always easier to microplane it before you cut the orange up. I say that not in a rude way, but I have often done it. You know, you don't read a recipe properly. You cut your oranges or your lemons or whatever, you juice them or whatever you do, and then you go, oh shit, I needed the zest as well. And it's very hard to zest a peel. So while your fruit is whole, we're going to zest it, and I just want the zest of one. And I'm going to put it into a jug, which I'm going to put the eggs into. So just have your jug ready, and I'm just going to zest. I'm going to hold on to my orange firmly so it doesn't slip. Okay, I like doing it this way. I know that some people prefer to do it like that, but I prefer to see where I'm going and just holding on to that orange, which is a bit slippery. Okay, and the zest is going into a jug. Okay, everyone who's cooking along, I hope you're following with me and I'm not going too fast. Okay, so I'm just getting all that lovely zest. I don't want the white, I don't want the pith because that's bitter. I just want the zest where that beautiful flavour is. All right, and I'm excited to cut open these oranges because they're just gorgeous inside. So I got these from Red Belly Citrus. And I got to say, Red Belly Citrus, I did an interview with Len on Instagram Live a few weeks ago. And so many people bought his oranges, and he was so grateful that they sent me 2 boxes of oranges last week, which was so nice of them. And they sent me the smaller ones, which is this one, which I use for juicing, and the bigger ones, which are beautiful for eating. So if you need oranges, Red Belly Citrus, and they deliver the boxes the next day. It's amazing. Melbourne and Sydney Metro, Adelaide, I'm not sure where you can get them. Okay, so let me just finish zesting. No, I finished zesting, that's good. Zesting done. I'll cut them up in a minute because I just want to, oh, actually, you know what? So that's just about melted. I'm going to turn that off now and just leave it for a minute while I cut up my oranges. So this is the way I cut oranges. I may have shown you before. I like it because it gets rid of the pith. Look at that. It's just amazing, isn't it? It's like a miraculous fruit that it has such amazing colour. And we learnt from Len that they are full of antioxidants, and pretty much you just eat them and they just make you healthy, and he said that they even make you skinny. So sorry, I'm joking there. No, he did say that they did an experiment on mice where they fed the mice this fatty food diet, and to one lot of the mice they fed them lots of blood orange juice, and to the others they didn't. And the ones that had the blood orange juice didn't put on weight, didn't get fatty liver disease, didn't blah 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 anything. They were just fantastic. I think they even lost weight. And the other mice who had just the fatty diet just got fat and unhealthy, and were not in showroom condition. So there you go, blood oranges. What can I say? So after that show, Danny, my Danny, husband, started drinking like a cup of blood orange juice a day, thinking that it would make him, slim and lovely. And guess what? It didn't. But anyway, but still, that aside, I am joking. They do have antioxidants. They are good for you. Heaps of vitamins. So I still think they're really good to eat. I would rather eat them and have the fibre as well, rather than just drink the juice. Personally, that's just me. All right, how's everyone going? Anyone still there? Anyone cooking along? Anyone having fun yet? Anyone got anything to say? You're all very quiet today. Why is everyone so quiet? What's going on? Have I lost you, or you're just sitting there mesmerised by the blood orange cutting? I wonder. Yes, thank you, Aura. My husband still is lovely. You're right. Are you talking about my husband and not dropping kilos from drinking blood orange juice? He is still lovely some of the time. Okay, so you can see I've cut my oranges like this. I've cut all the skin off pretty much. And I'm going to cut on either side of the core in the middle, just down the side, one and the other. See how I got a bit in the middle of that? I don't want that. That was not good cutting. And see how on the other cheek of it, I didn't get the middle, and that's what I want, okay? So I don't want any of the core stuff, and I don't want any of the stringy bits, certainly not the pips, okay? So let me just get that out. So then I've got this middle bit where I cut from each side. I'm just going to take the sides off that one, and I'm going to discard this center bit, or you can eat it. It's still yummy to eat. All right. Same with the other orange. Down each side, like cutting the cheeks off the orange. Okay, that's what we're doing, and cutting on either side of the core. The core. Look. That's yum. What I like about blood oranges is they've got that tartness that adds to the flavour profile of it. Bit sweet, bit tart. Colour's amazing. Wow, Nebulous 2001, you love eating pith. Really? I've never met any pith eaters in my life. Really? Wow. Then that's very interesting. So now I'm going to cut in between. See how it's got like the membranes? I'm going to cut in between. So I'm pretty much hiding the membranes in between, in the slices, okay? So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just cutting, I've got a very sharp knife, and I'm just cutting that into 4 pieces. Like that, okay? And I'm going to do the same with the rest. And then I'm going to get a little bit of a paper towel. I don't know if you want to do this, and you don't have to do it. I find with putting oranges in a pudding, sometimes if there's too much juice, it just makes the cream mixture, custard, separate a bit. So I just want to, I'm not squeezing the juice out, but just any excess juice before I put the pieces in. I'm just going to put this on a paper towel, okay? And then if you were doing enough oranges, you could tip that into a thing and drink it, but there's not quite enough. So we'll just wipe it up for the moment, leave my oranges there. Okay, so you can see I've got lovely segmented oranges, which we're going to tuck into the pudding in a minute. I'm setting that aside. Let's go back to this, okay? I have got my bread now in a big bowl. This is not my serving bowl. Yes, you're right. Roz also loves eating the pith, so it's good for your skin apparently. Do you mean you like you'd scoop that out and eat the pith just like that, or you mean when you peel an orange you leave the pith on? That's what I'm interested to know, because I don't like the pith at all. I'm pretty much anti-pith, and my kids are the same because I've taught them, unfortunately, the way I cut their oranges for school lunches was without the pith. So yeah, no pith in our house. All right, I've got my beautiful marmalade and butter mixture, and I'm now going to just pour it over the bread. And because it's all melted together, it's actually really lovely. And I don't think it's too hot. I'm just going to give it a toss with my hands because I want to coat every little bit of bread with this butter marmalade mixture. Yum. And it's already delicious. We haven't even started. Yum. What do we think of that? Okay, so have a look at that. I've got very marmalade-y fingers. Sorry, and this is why I knew I'd need my chucks today. And it's so interesting, Roz, about leaving the pith on an orange. I just have never met anyone who said that. Didn't even know that you people existed, pith lovers. Well, welcome, pith lovers. We do not discriminate here at all in any way. Pith lovers are welcome. Wow, someone else loves pith of lemons. Imagine that. It's really interesting. Okay, this is my bowl of yummy mixture. Setting that aside, back to my jug. I've put my zest in it, and I'm going to now make a mixture. I'm going to put my eggs in. Okay, so I've got my zest and my eggs. Yes, you can use any type of bread. Brioche is great. Like, brioche is really good for this, or challah. But you could use white bread. It would be absolutely fine. You know, the original bread and butter pudding was made with white bread, so why not? I think it would be perfect. Okay, so I'm just whisking the eggs together with each other and the zest, just because the zest is in the jug I'm using. And now I'm going to add my brown sugar, not the Demerara for topping. This is just the regular brown sugar. The original recipe did have caster sugar, which is lovely. I just thought because we're using blood oranges today, we'd shake it up a bit and use brown sugar. So this is 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and I'm going to whisk that together. Is that right? Did I get that right? Yep. 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 2 eggs in here. I'm just mixing it so that it's smooth, getting the lumps out of the brown sugar. And I'm going to add my cream in a second. You could also add some vanilla in, that would be lovely. Nadine eats the whole lemon slice. Pith, flesh and zest, the whole thing. You and Danny, my husband, and my daughter Jessie also eat the whole slice of lemon. I just can't do it. I'm a bit envious, I have to say, of people who can do that. I think you're, you know, got a good constitution to eat the whole thing. But could you, I mean, I know that's lemon, but would anyone nibble on this? Like, is that something nibbleable? I wonder. Or it has to be with the orange itself or with the lemon itself. All right, beautifully mixed together. See that? I've just got zest in there, eggs and sugar, and now I'm going to add the cream. And I'm just mixing it so it's well combined. There's no, you know, serious cooking going on here yet. So that's it, yummy mixture. That's sort of a custard base. Every time you make a bread and butter pudding, that's what you have. You have bread, you have butter somewhere. Sometimes it's melted, sometimes it's spread on the bread. You sometimes have jam, this one has marmalade. And then you always have a custard which goes on top. You probably could use milk instead of the cream. You might use a little bit less. I would probably guess at using 3/4 cup of milk, 2 eggs, and see how you go. No, use a cup of milk. I think you might be okay. Perhaps you should let it stand though after you soak it in so that it really soaks it up, so you're not cooking milk with nothing, nothing to soak it up. I think that would be a better plan if you use milk. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm going to make it in here first, okay? This is not, I just find this a bit easier to get everything coated, which is what I want. So this is my mixing bowl still. Everything goes in. The cream does make it luscious though. It does make a luscious custard, and I think you get a more luscious pudding at the end. But by all means, use milk. I remember back in the day when we were doing Weight Watchers or some stupid diet when I was, you know, in Melbourne 100 years ago under the direction of my mother. We used to make the Weight Watchers bread and butter pudding. I don't know if anyone who remembers this, but it was something to do with 1 slice of bread, white bread, 1 cup of milk, 1 egg. Must have had some sweetener in it. So you beat the 1 egg and the 1 cup of milk. You put your bread in a dish, you covered it with the milk thing and baked it. And it was like a Weight Watchers bread and butter pudding. There you go. So yes, Nadine, thank you. Nadine, who knows a lot about cooking, says milk, well, it's much better with cream, agrees with me. But you could do it with milk. So this is my cream, yummy mixture. You can see it's all very lush, yum. Want to dive in, want to eat a piece now, but I won't. And I'm just soaking it in. As I said, you could just leave that for a while and let it continue to soak. It will still bake beautifully. When you do it with milk, it'll be much runnier, and I would just let it sit and soak. I think that's a plan. Now, take your dish. You can grease it if you wish. I think what the greasing does really is just makes it easier to clean at the end of the day. You're not going to tip it out anyway, so you're going to scoop it out with a spoon. So I'm just going to use a bit of olive oil spray, which I do when I'm lazy and don't want to get out the butter and the baking paper or the paper towel. I'm just going to spray my dish. It's my lazy option. Okay, and I'm going to just tip my mixture now into my dish. And that is it. I'm going to use a spatula to get every last bit of the cream mixture out. Okay. And then I'm going to arrange them nicely, okay? All I feel I have done by putting it in that mixing bowl first is just made it easier to mix everything together. There are going to be bits at the top that are not going to be as soaked as the bits at the bottom, which I love. You'll see the end product in a minute. But I still want every piece to have had the opportunity to have mixed with the cream mixture, which is what that mixing bowl has done. Okay, so now I'm pushing it down a bit, and now we're going to put in the oranges. And the oranges just need to be tucked in. I love that word from Hillary. Tucked in between. And you can have them sticking out a bit if you like. They add beautiful sparks like jewels. You know, they really add to this, to how this pudding looks when it's cooked. It even looks beautiful raw, I must say. So I'm just putting them in, slipping them in, shoving them in, however you like. Okay, so putting everything in together. Yum. My mouth's watery just picking up these orange pieces because I want to eat them. But I'm not going to. I'm going to show some self-control today, and I'm going to use them all in the pudding. They're just lovely. If you find you've got giant oranges and your pieces are very big, you might want to cut them in half because you want it to go quite far. You want there to be an orange with every bite or every second bite. And if you have big pieces and you only have 5 or 6, you wouldn't have that, you know, or 10, it wouldn't go far enough, if you know what I mean. All right, there you go. How's that? That is the next step. And before we finish, before it goes in the oven, we need to sprinkle with some sugar. Now, you cannot sprinkle with sugar. I don't mean to keep adding more and more sugar, but the Demerara really adds something lovely. So this is the Demerara. It's a very coarse grained sugar. It's not going to melt. So the grains you put on are going to be the grains you're going to see, which I really, really like. Oops. And try to just sprinkle that nicely. Maybe a tablespoon's enough, whatever. If you want more, put more. I'm not going to be the judge of the sugar that you use. And that's it. Now, I'm not going to cook this now because I'm just not. I will cook it later. So I'm going to put that in the fridge for a few hours and cook it later. Perhaps if I was going to cook it later, I should have left the sugar off. I'm worried that it might start to break down too much, but hopefully not. That's going to go in the fridge. I'm going to cook. Let's pretend I've cooked it, okay? I'd like to be able to pull out a full pudding to show you, but of course, my family ate it for dessert. I had to fight them off to make sure there was enough for you to see. Fight them off at every corner, but I managed to save half. So this is the one I made last night. Look how beautiful it looks. You can see when it came out of the oven, it was fully puffed, and it would be amazing to serve it it needs to sit probably 10 minutes to settle. Something happens when a pudding comes out of the oven. To serve it boiling hot is never a great idea. But I think it's lovely to pull it out, let it sit and serve it warm, not boiling hot. I didn't do that. I pulled it out and let it sit because I cooked it sort of late afternoon. I actually like it at room temperature. That's my favourite way to eat it. But I want to show you how beautiful it looks. Now, Hilary said she also adds golden raisins. That would also be lovely. Yeah, delicious. Okay, so cooking time for this size is about 45 to 50 minutes. Okay, I did it for 45 at 180, and I love how the top has got these burnished parts, which really, really looks fabulous. And the inside, of course, is bready, custard soaked deliciousness. It's really good. I actually like it room temperature, I must say. I don't know why. I prefer the texture of this pudding when it's not hot, but you decide for yourself if you like it hot or not. Let me just show you what it looks like inside. So the top is beautiful and burnished and crusty and sugary, and the inside is like you'd expect a bread and butter pudding. It's soft, it's custard soaked. The blood oranges, you can see, are dotted throughout. And I just think it's a really different, nice, interesting dessert that will see you through any time you've got leftover challah or leftover brioche or any bread you want to use. It's really great to keep your bread. Don't chuck it out, ever. Stick it in the freezer for a rainy day, because there'll always be a rainy day. Yeah, the brown crunchy bits are honestly the best. It's using all my self-control not to pull off the rest of them and just eat them, because it's bloody good. So, Hilary, thank you for sharing this amazing recipe with us. And I hope that all of you will go and make it this weekend if you've got time, or those of you who are cooking along now. Please don't forget to post your photos on Instagram and tag Monday Morning CC so that I can share them. It's such a yummy, great recipe. And of course, I took, half an hour to make it, but it's a really quick and easy recipe that I think all of you will find a pleasure to make, and an even greater pleasure to eat. I mean, this is irresistible. It's really hard for me not to pull off these things. It would be great to take this on a picnic. We're all going on picnics at the moment. You could just bake it, let it cool completely, take it in your dish to your picnic, and just cut it up into pieces like like you would a Lakshan or something, because once it's cold, it's actually cuts up beautifully. Yum. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this dessert this week. It's my favourite. That's it from me today. I will be back again tomorrow with a beautiful, delicious, not fried chicken. Someone asked me, I think it was Dorrit, asked me, I'm happy that she did, what you could use instead of potato flour tomorrow. And the answer made me look it up and remember that it's actually self-raising flour. So if you don't want to use potato flour tomorrow for the chicken, you can use potato flour. You won't need self-raising flour, and you won't need the baking powder. So it's either self-raising or baking powder and potato flour if you want it gluten-free. The potato flour also gives a very nice crunch that's quite different to self-raising flour, which I quite like. Anyway, all right. See you tomorrow for not fried chicken. See you on Friday for suhariki, which are these amazing biscotti, a classic in the MMCC kitchen. And I'm very excited to share that recipe and give away a book on Friday. Please remember to share this with your friends. I want lots and lots of people on Friday so we can make it a really fun question. What is with me today? Yeah, getting all my words wrong. Does anyone ever have days like that? Fun session, not a question. I think because someone asked a question, I was trying to read and talk at the same time. And it's very hard to read and talk. Trust me. All right then. I'm off. I'm going to go have a picnic in the park with 4 friends. So hopefully the wind will stay not too windy at the moment. Be well, everyone. Stay safe. Everyone in Melbourne, things will get better. Everywhere else, lots of love from me. Hang in there, people. Can we see the light at the end of the tunnel? I think we can. See you all. Be safe. Bye for now.